Are we live? I don't know what's going on right now. Someone tell me if I'm live or not, because this is ridiculous. Are we good here, folks? I think I think we're good. Y'all gonna have to let me know if it's working, 'cause I think YouTube is doing an absolute fucking madness right now. You guys here? And let me know. Oh, hey, we're back live. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Oh man, thank you, Hesty, for letting me know. Is that the same Hesty? Because that's a different name. Sorry, I literally had no idea. That wasn't even. I think that was a YouTube. Now YouTube has been having some weird issues. The last couple days, it's been, and that I don't know what happened there. I even just as I tried to restart it a couple times, it wasn't even like letting me do anything. So, um, sorry about that, everybody. I don't know what happened there. So just got now. I got to get back to where I was in my notes because wasn't planning on having some sort of crazy technical difficulty. Sorry about that, everyone. But this one's going to be a two-parter. So awesome. So love the technical difficulties. So big up everyone for sticking around and coming back. Appreciate that. But should not have to happen. So in any case, you can go back and watch the first 10 minutes or whatever to get an idea of what was going on with that one. You guys let me know where we got cut off and I can get back into it and we can go from there. So, but again, if you're just joining me, had a little bit of technical difficulties. I think that was on YouTube's end, and now we are just kind of getting back on track here. So let me know where we left off, and then we can go from there. Want to make sure you guys aren't missing anything if the technical difficulties started at a certain time. What was the last thing you guys remember talking about? How about that? So let me get a drink of water. Let you guys let me know what's going on. That was banana balls. Anybody still here? Anybody kicking around? Helps me if you get involved in the comments so I can at least see where I'm going here. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep talking like this. So, but let me know what was the last thing we were talking about on the first stream attempt, and then we can go from there. Otherwise, I'm going to keep on trucking. So we hadn't talked about Rashford yet, Hesty. Is that where it got cut off? Maybe they saw me. Tibasi says that lag was longer than Arsenal's trophy jaw or Spurs trophy jaw, right? At least it's back. So was Sancho to Juve the last thing you guys actually got on there? Because we had started talking about Rashford, I believe, right? In any case, so let me pick back up where we left off here. So sticking with overpaid English wingers who lack a bit of self-awareness, it's been claimed that United are resigned to not getting what they want for Marcus Rashford in terms of a transfer fee. This is coming from Sam C, who claims Marcus Rashford wants to sign for a Champions League club and has not considered a move to Saudi Arabia or Turkey, and Manchester United sources believe there is little chance they will pay the 40 million fee. So it doesn't sound like we are anticipating getting a big fee for that, which kind of a bummer. Honestly, at this point, it's profit for Rashford anyway, so I don't really think. I mean, again, if we were going to sell him, the time to do that would have been after he had that amazing season. That's when he was at his best market value. Probably could have gotten 100 million for him from PSG. We made the mistake getting him on that new contract, and unfortunately, this is where we are now. So Debassi says send him to Bayern Munich. Well, again, it's those wages. The wages make it pretty much impossible. And again, Bayern have to want him. So the lower fee, I mean, getting less than 40 million probably is going to be more appealing. It's just he's on a lot of money and not many clubs are going to want to pay that. We can say that clubs like Bayern are, they want him, but again, they have a different wage structure. So Danny Skelton says, none of these bums are leaving. Welcome to the channel. If you guys are just now getting back, it looks a little weird that there's two streams because for some reason YouTube decided to freeze in the first 11, 12 minutes of the first stream. So we're kind of doing a two-parter today. So I do appreciate you guys getting back involved though. But again, I mean, I saw reports that a loan for Rashford might be in the cards. But again, this is not the way anyone thought Marcus Rashford's story at Manchester United was going to go. Like I was saying earlier, homegrown, right, academy lad from local, works heavily in the community, plays a position that we love at United, right? Fast, pacey, powerful wingers. We get up for that at Manchester United, and it had everything to be an absolute legend. What went wrong? What do you guys think went wrong with Marcus Rashford's Manchester United story? Maybe burnout. Maybe he just wasn't that good and he's peaked a little in 22, 23, and now he's just kind of regressing to the mean. Maybe it's a decline. I don't know. Maybe he got too big a raise and he just kind of took his foot off the gas. What do you think the issue was for Rashford? Let me know what you guys think in the chat. Danny's back. Danny, what happened, dude? What happened to that stream? It was legitimately on YouTube's end, man. That's messed up, dude. Mad Hatter, welcome back, Mad Hatter. Everybody's jumping in. So the first part of the transfer talk, the news roundup, go back and watch that first video. We had to do two videos because we had technical difficulties and YouTube is doing a madness. I did look it up while I was getting things squared away and YouTube was having some issues. So I think I was just the victim of that. Danny said, Rashford had one good season and it happened to be when he needed a contract. Yeah, it's interesting, right? The issues that contracts can cause. You guys remember that it seemed like every time David De Gea's contract talks would start, his form would drop a little bit, right? He would make a little bit more errors. It would seem like the concentration and the focus wasn't on the match, but it was on the future, which I get. This is your livelihood, but at the same time, you're also in your livelihood. So you need to perform. That's interesting. Interesting stuff. Tabasco says, I remember when his PR teams were saying Rashford could walk into any club he wants. He's that good. They disappeared like Inter's tactics board in the final. Oh, man. That's shots fired. Inter were so bad in the Champions League final. Like, that to me was less competitive watching it than any of these Club World Cup games. It was such a bad final. Mad Hatter says, I think what happened with Rashford is burnout, to be honest. We forget these men have been playing daily since they learned to walk. Just my take. Yeah, and that's what I was saying on that first stream is Rashford's been playing like heavily in the first team since he was 17, 18 or whatever, and he plays in a position that puts a lot of running on his legs. So not many players are going to play for Manchester United first team football that regularly when they're 17, 18 years old. It rarely happens. And Rashford was just like Gareth Bale. It was all pace, all power, just push. Freaking, and maybe it's just the burnout of all the attention. Literally everything the guy did was in the newspaper the next day or online the next day, and that can be draining. That can be exhausting as a human being. It is part of the life at Manchester United. We get it, but it's just maybe it's burnout, and maybe he got that contract and then he took his foot off the gas. It's just a shame. Again, like I said, nobody wanted his United story to end this way. It had everything to be such a legend at this club, and it just threw it all away a little bit. Welcome, Lucky. Hope you're doing well, man. Alejandro Garnacho, Mohamed Kudus, I would offer to Tottenham. Interesting. Yeah, we talked about Kudus a little bit yesterday with that £85 million release clause kicking in here in a couple weeks. But welcome back, Lucky. On wages and wingers, though, while we're talking, I saw a rumor from Samuel Butthurst. Again, I don't give it a whole lot of time, but interesting stuff, that Antony is prepared to take a 30% wage cut to facilitate an exit. Is that the thing that we're seeing here? That's interesting. That can happen. Raja says, wow, they are getting Xavi. Who's getting Xavi? Let me know who's getting Xavi. Debash says he hardly showed up in training time after those big wages. Remember when he ignored all the tips Ronaldo was giving him? Yeah. Interesting. Danny says, burnout. He scored less than 10 goals most seasons. He's no better than Welbeck. The only difference was Fergie was not here when he cleared him out. Let me see. Because there was a time when Rashford, aside from that 2021, 22 season when everybody kind of took a dip, Rashford was actually on a bit of an upward trajectory here. So if we look back here, I'm looking right now live. So came on this scene 15-16, 8 goals, 2 assists, and then 11 goals, 4 assists, then 13-8, 13-7, 22 and 8 in 1920, 21 and 12. So again, he was on an upward trajectory. And then everybody took a dip that 21-22 season. And then it seemed like he got that contract, and it just started going down again. Like you could I'm looking at FootMob right now. He was actually on an upward trajectory for goal involvements. He got that 21-22 season struck, and everybody sucked. And then the following season, he had his best season and got the contract. And then again, just regressed. So he was on an upward trajectory. Maybe it was just a little too long. Raja says, have you tried elote and corn on cob? I don't know what that means. What is that? Like is that like prison lingo? Is that food? What is that? Let me know. I don't know. I don't know what that means. League goals. I mean, you can't discount Champions League and whatnot. There's still competitions in goals, so we can't just only count Premier League. I mean, but I hear you. But it's not the Premier League isn't the only thing that we're competing in, so you can't not count the other stuff. So Roger says, why do Man United fan have to banter each guy? He only doing a job. Are we mocking Rashford? Well, I'm just asking you what you guys think about, what the decline was down to. Again, that's what we're here to do. We're just, no one's here to say I'm right, you're wrong. I'm here to ask what you guys think about it. So, Tabasi says the main reason was inconsistency. Yeah, after that, it just seemed like it was just that contract hit, and then everything just kind of went downhill again. It just seemed like his body language and like his attitude were just not quite there. It just, maybe he was just getting burned out with football. Maybe he just wanted to go live a life, man. You got, like someone said, these kids are doing this from a very young age. Maybe you just feel like he wanted to go do other things. I don't know. But yeah, Samuel Butthurst does report that Antony might take a 30% pay cut to get out of United. We will see if that's true, but he should never have been paid $200K a week, Antony, in the first place. That in itself is a sackable offense. Whoever decided to take this guy off of $20K a week at Ajax and literally multiply that by 10 needed to be fired. They've probably already been fired. It's probably Woodward, Murtaugh, whoever one of these assholes. Obviously, Antony's down at $150K a week without Champions League. That's just the way it's been. But still, that's about twice as much as Antony should have ever gotten paid. But it's ridiculous. Like he says, £63 million gets the deal done. Alejandro Garnacho, Tottenham, Villa. Have Spurs hired a new... Oh, they got Thomas Frank. That's right. I was like, who's getting Xavi? What are you talking about, Xavi? Interesting. Danny Skelton says, it's hard to get out and run while wearing silk pajamas. Love the live stream. Definitely. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate the love. Sorry again for all the technical difficulties. I have no idea what happened there, but we are picking up again. So this is a two-parter. I'll put a part 1 and part 2 in the descriptions later on. If you guys are checking this one, there's a ton of links in the video description. There is a little bit of a charity thing going on if anyone feels compelled to do that. Appreciate that. Links to Fubo, links to Fanatics, and links to Kitbag as well for anyone interested in doing any of that. And there's a link to GoGoalShop as well. So check out tons of stuff in the descriptions. Always check the video descriptions. You'll see a lot of stuff. And if you don't check it, you're going to miss out on a lot of stuff. So Devassi says, are we accepting $25 million from Betis? Looks like we have no other bids. I remember the report was we were holding out for like 40 or 45 million or something, but honestly, just get him gone. You're never going to get your money back and that was the biggest issue with so many of these signings, whether it's Antony, Sancho, Pogba, Maguire. You're never getting your money back for any of these. So you're basically putting all your eggs in that basket every single time. And that's such a horribly unwise, unprofessional, short-sighted, misguided way of going about your transfer activity. Well, again, what was going to happen with Sancho? What was going to happen with Antony? Like, what was going to happen with him? Like, again, just like Sancho, he either does really well, and then you've got to give him a raise after a year or two, or he flops, like both of them done, and then you're stuck with this £85 million waste of a transfer on 200 and 300K a week, and no one wants to buy him because no one else can afford the wages, and we just watch him walk for free. I'd be willing to bet a lot of money that Sancho goes on another loan and then just leaves for free in a year, personally. Hesty says, I love Antony for doing good at Betis. I thank him for that. Yeah, it helps us, but again, the wages kill us, so it kind of evens out a little bit. So Raja says, "Why does Ruben want ball carriers and not exceptionally technical players to play at 10?" I think he probably wants a little of both, and it's good to have a little of both because Mount's still in here, Xerxes still in there. That's a position they're both going to play. Bruno will play up there. Cobby's even played in there. It's good to have depth, and it's good to have different profiles. Like you don't always just want like for striker if you've got more than one striker, which we need to. You can't just have like the big poacher who gets on the headers. You got to have someone who offers something a little different, depending on the game as well. So I think we do have both, but we've also are looking at these physical players, these goal scorers who like Mbeumo, like Cunha, who are a little bit more of the physical side than the players that we have. Can you say the Mount is as physical as Cunha and Mbeumo when it comes to just energy, stamina, pace, power? Like probably not. Debasi says Conte thinks Sancho is a special son. Let it be pay up. Yeah, Napoli would be a good fit. Let him go. So that is wingers, you guys. Thank you for getting involved in that, Mad Hatter. We're right there, man. We are jumping on it right now. I'm not gonna claim to be any sort of ITK. Like I said, we just discuss it, and I want to get your guys' thoughts. But we are going to move on to goalkeepers now. So it's no secret that I'm not Andre Onana's biggest fan. If you guys have been watching the channel for any amount of time, you will know that I'm not Andre Onana's biggest fan. I mean, the term net negative is something that I say many, many times about him. I gave him time, just like any other player, but those Champions League performances in his first season at the club were difficult to watch, and they're impossible to forget or forgive. They were awful. And it's not gotten a whole lot better since. Sure, he makes a save here and there, but to quote a great Irishman, that's his job. That's his job. That's just, you can make your saves, but it's literally every other aspect of goalkeeping that he's just not good at. Lacking confidence, refusal to even think about maybe taking control over the box, come off his line, and just the ever increasing catalog of schoolboy errors that single-handedly have cost us time and time again. Ipswich, the fuck up with Dorgu and him. Leicester, palming it back into the box. Brighton, palming it back into the box. Palace, palming it back in the box. Are you seeing a pattern yet? The final against Spurs, I do blame a lot of that goal on him. He's the Forest goal from Gibbs White. You guys remember that nonsense? Absolutely god-awful goalkeeper. I don't know. He has to go. Like, period. He has to go. At this point, like, I'm not even concerned about PSR anymore when it comes to Onana. Replacing him is going to make all the difference when it comes to points on the table and advancing into cup competitions. I think he's that bad, Andre Onana. Matt Hatter says, with Onana on the pitch, it's 12 versus 11. Ugh. He's so bad. And this is the thing. This is, like, to add to that. So you guys have heard me talk about this concept a couple times called the O principle. It's in one of these books back here. I can't remember which one it is. It's in one of these footballing books. So there's this concept called the O principle. And what the O principle attempts to prove is that a player's negatives on the pitch, they don't just add up. It's not like, oh, we have one bad player. No, they multiply. And Onana is another case. They multiply because they impact their teammates around them. If you got like a slow, like McTominay, well, I'm just not trying to beat anybody up. Let's say McTominay, because he doesn't want to show for the ball in deep positions, and he's not really technical in deeper positions. Now his teammates are basically pulled to him to make up for that, which means they're not doing what they could be doing, and because of that, now the other teammates around that are also being affected as well. Same with Onana. You've got a keeper who can't come off his line. Now De Ligt and all these defenders have to, knowing that Onana, he's not going to come off his line. He's not going to come out and claim these crosses. Now they've got to do extra work. They've got to get pulled out of position to go make up for that. That's the O principle in effect right there. And it's just ridiculous. Hesse says, I pray to God for blessing to Onana. Leave us alone. Yes, let him go. I'll fly in there. I'll fly over to Manchester. I'll pick him up. I'll pay for his ticket. We'll take him to the Saudi League. Santos King, welcome. Also not the biggest fan of Martinez due to his attitude, but it can't be worse than Onana. Man cost us so many points. He's cost us so many points for so many seasons. Justin and I were at the Brighton match earlier this season. Again, another example, palming it right back into the box. Not a great look. I was at that Galatasaray match, that Champions League match a couple years ago. I was like parallel with Onana when he and Casemiro messed up and gave away that pen. Like, and the the collective groan and disappointment and frustration at Old Trafford when that happened was just tangible. You could feel it, physiologically feel it. Big up, Santos. Welcome to the channel. Roger said, what is the opinion about Rodrigo Mora of FC Porto? Oh, Danny's ears are pricking up. But then he signed, maybe knew about a 4-year deal with Porto. He's going to be expensive, and that's what you're going to see with these young players, whether that's Mastantuono, Nippon, Mora, any of these young players. You saw it with Yashari, Arden Yashari for Club Brugge that we've talked about many times. You guys know I love Arden Yashari. He only joined Club Brugge last summer, and they literally upped his contract a few months in because they saw how good he was. They saw other clubs were getting interested. You have to, and this is the fine line where like going too soon on a player after one good season or really trusting your recruitment and stuff and believing in that player. It's a delicate balance there. But yeah, we all knew any player you get from any of these Portuguese sides is going to be pretty pricey. So Raja said, if you can add more goals on a team, Onana is not much problem. Onana is just, he's gone. So on Onana, though, while we're talking about him, L'Équipe claim that Onana has a potential suitor in Monaco in Ligue 1. Monaco's president confirmed late last season that they do want a goalkeeper. I think they've got Majeki is one of them, and then there's I forget the other guy's name, but it doesn't seem like they're super convincing. I think Pogba's even reportedly going to Monaco as well. Did I read that right? Someone let me know. So Fabrizio Romano claims that there is still Saudi interest in Onana, even though there haven't been any official bids. And United are apparently keeping an eye on keepers in general, just in case something happens with Onana. So Monaco potentially coming in. Saudi clubs may be interested, but nothing's happened yet. What are we going to see here? Yeah, I knew Danny would pop up in here. Needs to bulk up, lacks physicality, but he's going to be one to watch. Isn't he only like 17 years old? So he's not done growing yet. Mora. Same with Kabi Mainu. Like these players are going to be growing into their early 20s physically as well, and so I do think that you're going to see guys like Mora. They don't have to be super big, but yeah, like you're saying, he does need to be physical. Some players get away with not being like big. Like Bruno is not that big. Things like that. Danny said I would try to sign him. Yeah, I think that next summer you're probably going to see something with Mount for sure happen. And you might see something with Xerxes if he doesn't, start to add a little bit more to his game. I'm not complaining about Xerxes, but he's been here a year and he's had a few injuries, but he's going to have to step up now with all this competition, or else he might have to get moved on, and we might replace him with someone like Amora. I would have liked to replace him with a Nippon. Nota, welcome back. That T-shirt is ace. Well, you can get these, I believe. Let me go see if the shop is kind of had some issues with the store. Simply because it's they're changing a couple of their policies, the store that I use. So let me I'll put a link on there. I've got one thing on there now as I work through all this, but you can go get this on the United vs. Everybody store. I will pin this comment to the top if you guys are interested, but you can get these. This is just one type. They have them. You can get them in a hoodie. There's hats and there's a mug, and then there's women's stuff too. There's like a zip-up hoodie as well. You can go get yourself one of these. I think Danny got one too. So Danny, you have to let Nota know how you like the shirt. I like it. Dylan's got one. You guys saw Dylan wearing this on the Kickabout the other day. But I appreciate that. That does make me feel good. I did design the shirt myself. I did like the green and gold. It is the OG. 30 million for an Onana would be nice, says the boss. 30 million, I'd literally snatch your hand. I would celebrate like we won the Champions League final if we got 30 million for Onana, man. It's ridiculous. Appreciate that, Nota. Appreciate that. So, Onana. With limited finances, I think, like I've said a couple times, going into the summer, we had our priorities. And then we had, like, even Barada and Amorim said this. They had plan, and a lot of that was depending on Champions League. Plan B, I think a lot of this is also going to depend on player sales. But I think our priorities, obviously, what Barada said the other day, priority was Cunha. We're heavily involved in Mbeumo. And then I think you're going to see a striker next. Obviously, we've been linked to a lot of strikers. I think and I'm not saying I feel this way, but I think for the club, the goalkeeper was not on the top of the priority list. It should have been, but it wasn't. Right down, I think it was right down the bottom, along with like center back. And I think that's just the way it was. It's going to be down to player sales, though. And even then, I feel like center midfield is going to be next on the list because we're linked to so many central midfielders. And it is a position I do think we're going to need to strengthen. The problem is it's also a position that we're very bloated with the squad right now. Ugarte, Casemiro, Collier, Menu, Bruno, Mount can play deep if we need him to as well. In an ideal world, we could sell Casemiro. We bring in someone to replace him, and someone who can kind of bend in. I'm not totally giving up on Collier, but if it was down to having to sell a midfielder, I would sell Collier because I don't think anyone's going to buy Casemiro. What I'm getting at is I don't think United are actively looking to sell Onana, but like some of the other rumors that came in, if a bid came in, we'd listen, and we're compiling a list of replacements, which is what you should do. But this is one of those situations where getting rid of Onana is almost more important than who replaces him. That's how bad I think Onana is. You can stick a traffic cone in net, and I trust it to stop a shot more than I would trust Onana, man. It's absolutely ridiculous. But still, we have to replace Onana. And one name that won't go away is Emi Martinez. Now, it's popping up everywhere. I feel like we need to have an Emi Martinez discussion because I'm not as convinced about him. And you guys have an opportunity to change my mind if you guys love Emi Martinez. But where are you guys sitting with Emi Martinez? We talked about it a couple of times. Like I said, the rumors keep rumoring and it won't go away. Because right now, I'm sitting on I don't want to spend $40 million on a 33-year-old who is on the decline side of this fence when it comes to this debate. I'm just not happy with him. I saw this pop up the other day online too. This was a comparison these last couple of years, basically since Onana arrived, comparing some of his numbers directly to Emiliano Martinez. And you can see, so Onana has, now you guys know, I don't care that much about clean sheets when it comes to goalkeeping. I think clean sheets are not the best way to judge a goalkeeper because it has so much more to do with the team than the goalkeeper, but it is what it is. I look at the saves, and you can see Onana's got more saves, saves per match up there. Save percentage, Onana has a higher save percentage these last 2 seasons. Onana's not committed any OGs either. Onana does have one more error leading to goal as well, but the numbers don't make it. And then if you go look at Emi Martinez's percentiles on FBref, and you go look at the last couple of years, this past season was a sharp decline in a lot of those metrics as well, which is why I say he is on the decline. Now, a lot of people come out and say, oh, keepers can play till their 30s. Like, yes, keepers can play. It is one of the positions on the pitch where you can play. I'm not saying a keeper can't play. Anybody can play. But how many keepers are Man United first team level into their mid-30s or their early 30s even? How many of that? And if you say Van der Sar, I'm going to stop the stream. I don't want to hear it. I've said this many times. You can probably name 5 or 6 keepers who in their mid to late 30s or even in their early 30s were still class keepers in the last couple of decades. And here's the thing. Anyone who wants to list Van der Sar, it only helps my case because the 5 or 6 keepers is such a small sample size. But when you list Van der Sar, now you're opening up the debate over 2 decades for the last 2 decades, which only makes it look better for me, honestly. Who do you got? Neuer, Van der Sar, Buffon. Who else? Somebody help me out here. I'm struggling here. World-class keepers. I'm struggling. Exactly. It's like you can't think of many. Let me see what you guys are saying here in the chat. I'm going on a little bit of a soapbox. Danny says, unless it's for 15 million, yeah, I don't even want to pay much for it. I'm not saying I don't want Emi Martinez, but I'm not going to pay 40 million for Emi Martinez. I would pay, like Danny's saying, maybe 15 million tops. And even then, you can go get a better, younger keeper for 15 million, 20, 25 million. And it's just, why not just go do that? It doesn't make any sense. Tobias says, time to get a new keeper if Onana goes. Debasi says Casillas. How old was Iker Casillas when he left? Age when he left. So Iker Casillas, he retired at the age of 39. So when was he when he left? When he left Madrid? Because the question is not how old were they when they were playing, like The question is, are they still class keepers? Now, Iker Casillas left Madrid when he was 34, and even Madrid fans will tell you that he was starting to decline for a few years before that. And so again, 32, 33, that whole area, people like to think that we had one keeper who was like 40 and he was world class. That means all keepers can play and be good till they're 40. They can't. The sample size of keepers who were actually that good into their early mid 30s is so small compared to the number of goalkeepers in football. It's ridiculous. Verbruggen's super young, man. Super young. Jens Lehmann, okay, so you're getting there. So you've got a couple. But again, even if you guys named 10, that's compared to the number of keepers that have been playing football over the last couple decades, the sample size is small. You can't use the outliers to prove a point because that's a logical fallacy. I'm not trying to start an argument. Yeah, I've named a couple of those: Neuer, Buffon. Like, you're gonna get a couple, but still. Nota says we are desperate for a keeper with belief and confidence. Martinez has that, but I agree. 40 million. Yeah, I like the attitude. I'm here for the shithousery, but it's just too much to pay for such an older keeper. The boss says usually 30-40 is the decline rate of goalkeepers and 40 is a sharp decline. If you can find me more than Buffon who's playing until they're 40, I mean, that's insane. Big up, Darko. Good to see you again. Hesty says Emi gonna be on short term. Yeah, if you were like free for a couple of years, cool, go for it. Like that's a no-brainer, but he's not, and he's gonna cost a lot of money, so I'm done with that. The guy says vision decreases, reflexes decreases, agility goes out of the horizon. Don't knock 40. I'm pushing 40. I'll be 40 in a little bit here. I'm still going strong, man. I'm still doing it. Raja says Emi Martinez got errors. Yeah, they all do. Every keeper is going to make an error. I think that Emi Martinez, you're seeing a bit of an increase in those as well, though. Again, that's why I say he's on the decline. So I'm not saying I want to keep Onana at all. You guys know that. But is Martinez really the answer? I don't think so. So Nathan Salt chimed in again today on this matter as well. And this is what Nathan Salt had to say on Emi Martinez and his potential move to United that's gaining steam a little bit. Nathan Salt says, Emi Martinez's camp working overtime to make it known he's eager to join Manchester United. No approach from United, and all indications have been of Andre Onana staying and playing. So again, like I said, so far, business as usual, it seems, from United side regarding the goalkeeper situation. I just don't understand how anybody at that club can look at Andre Onana and think that we can rely on him. It's just not going to happen. But it does look like Martinez is for sure leaving. Now, where he goes, couldn't tell you. I thought that, I don't know. I would have said Saudi written all over, but after that celebration after the World Cup, I don't know if they want him back personally. Darko says, we are used to buying age keepers since Sir Alex Ferguson, Bosnich, Barthez, Van der Sar, Romero. Yeah, Romero was free, and he was always the backup. Now, De Gea was young. And De Gea was here for like 12 years, and so we didn't really have to do much with De Gea. But Romero was free. We've gone through a few backup keepers since then. Onana was probably the older one. Was he 26 when we got him, Onana? So 25, 26 to me is a really good age to get the keeper. I think, that 24, 25, 26 age. I have a lot. I mean, we've talked about a lot of the options I would like to. There are loads of younger keepers out there who wouldn't cost 40 million personally. Andre Lunin, you guys have heard me mention him. Sene Lams, as Danny mentioned. Yevan Diouf at Rams. I think that they got relegated, so he is probably on his way out, and he's like 25. Unai Simon, I really like Unai Simon. I think he's really stepped up in these last couple of years at Bilbao. Bolka, we've talked about. Marcin Bolka at Nice, sorry. Van de Voort, I like Van de Voort. I liked him when he was playing in Belgium. He went to Leipzig now. Van de Voort's actually really good. Chevalier, I know a lot of us have mentioned Chevalier, and I was under the impression that he was going to cost a lot of money, but there are some claims that Lille would be open to like 40 million, and Villa are reportedly linked to Chevalier as well. Now, for 40 million, now you've got my attention for Chevalier, because that dude is very, very, very good. Mad Hatter says Pepe Reina retired at 42. Retired at 42, yes, but how good was he? In his early 30s, mid 30s, where was he playing? Was he class? So that's the thing I'm trying to get at. It's not whether or not they can play everybody. Sergio Romero is still playing, but is Sergio Romero was when he was in his early 30s. Was he someone that you'd want at United? And that's my point, if that makes sense. Darko says Schmeichel never made many errors except going to City. Jay, welcome back. Hope you guys are doing well, my friend. So those are just a couple keepers that I would like us to take a look at. We have been linked to a new keeper today, if you guys saw the thumbnail, and this is Atalanta goalkeeper Marco Carnesecchi, Italian keeper. Reportedly, we would only have to pay around £43 million to get this deal done, and that's according to DiMarzio. Now, it's been claimed that United are actually looking at him and considering making an offer. The claim is that we're looking to offer Atalanta like around 35 million pounds. So roughly 7-8 million short of what they were asking. If this is something that we're looking at, if Onana is out the door, you're probably going to meet somewhere in the middle. So looking around maybe that 40 million mark for a lot of these keepers is the sweet spot. Now, 40 million for someone like Carnesecchi, Lunin, Bolka, Chevalier. Now you're starting to look at Emi Martinez and you're like, 40 million for you or 40 million for literally any of these other guys. It's a no-brainer. It really isn't. So, and that the prices that's coming from Get Italian Football News. So, I mean, I like Carnesecchi a lot. He's a really good keeper. He's got a good mix of commanding his box, shot stopping, and distribution as well. Again, he's not one of those keepers who you're going to look at any one of those percentiles and it's going to be like a big spike here. He's got a good balance out of all the areas that you need. He's just a straight up keeper, good enough to do all of that stuff. It's kind of like the midfielders right now. It used to be you get a 6 and they're like a 9 out of 10 at defensive stuff, but maybe like a 3 or 4 at ball progression, or it's the other way. But now we're looking at this midfield system and we want players who are like 6-7s in both defensive and ball progression. That's kind of like what you're going to get with Carnesecchi a little bit. So Matt Hatter says, was Macheda the last Italian player? Oh, don't forget Darmian. Darmian was in there. That was a Louis van Gaal signing, but good trivia. I like that. He says Atalanta and 43 million doesn't sound Atlanta. Like, what's the catch? I mean, the last player we got from Atlanta didn't really. He's having a bit of a shit season. The player before that, though, I mean, and Ahmad not doing too bad. So Debassi says Villa is linked to everyone. They need to get out of the PSR chokehold first. Yeah, and that's why we just have to wait them out. Now, they could wait until early July when the financial calendar starts up again, and that will help them PSR-wise, but we don't want to help them PSR-wise. So, but again, as far as Carnesecchi goes, a name that we've been linked with now with a couple different Italian outlets, I wouldn't read too much into it yet. I'm sure he's a name on the list. I'm sure all these guys are on the list somewhere. But that's just proper planning and recruitment and squad building 101. That's just how it goes. But who would be your pick out of keepers right now? Like, how much would you pay for Emi Martinez? Who would be your pick to replace Andre Onana? You guys let me know in the chat, who would you replace him with? Lucky really, really wants Garnacho to go to Spurs. Yeah, let me know who you would replace Andre Onana with. Any one of those names I list I would be fine with personally. I think they're all very good keepers. I think Lunin probably a good steal. Lemons, if we have to, and I said this yesterday too a couple times, if we have to be stuck with Onana, like if he's not going anywhere for sure, buy Lemons for super cheap and loan him back to Royal Antwerp for the year, just like Liverpool just did with Marmadashvili, who they got from Valencia as well. That to me is just smart business. But I'm not in charge. Danny says Lemons or Lunin. Yeah, Lunin that could be a really good pickup. He did really well in Courtois' absence, and I think a lot of Madrid fans really like Andre Lunin a lot. Courtois is like 32, 33 now. Lunin's only 26. Really good age. I think he really deserves to be playing first team football. Problem is Lunin signed a new contract not that long ago. So I think Madrid kind of figured he was going to be on his way out because he wasn't going to be too happy and they wanted to tie him down. Mad Hatter wants Chevalier. Yeah, I like Chevalier a lot too. For 40 million now, I'm like, if that's the legit price, now I'm interested. So maybe we could work out something. Maybe we can send somebody over to Lille. Maybe we can send Sekou Kone on loan or something. Who knows? Debassi says Donnarumma. Yeah, I think Donnarumma is definitely trying to get a new contract personally. Lunin stuck with Onana. Yeah, I think unless someone comes in with a good offer, I think we're going to be stuck with Onana. I think for now, probably until we see some sales, I think probably plan on Cunha and Buemo and a striker. for sure before the preseason tour. And then probably maybe if we get some more sales, maybe you get a central midfielder, and if someone makes an offer for Onana. I don't think we're going to see a lot of players. Now, Barada said they were trying to get 3 or 4 more players after Cunha, so we'll see. We could go up to 4 or 5, and I think 4 or 5 would be a central midfielder and a goalkeeper, but we will see what happens there. But we will, of course, be keeping an eye on that. But I don't think Emi Martinez is the answer. You know who else is not the answer? Dusan Vlahovic. So Nico Schara claims that his story at Juventus is over, Vlahovic, and Juventus are actually open now to a 20 million euro sale. Now, that seems exorbitantly low for Dusan Vlahovic, even as poorly as I rate him. Reportedly, Vlahovic turned down moves to the Turkish and the Saudi league in favor of wanting to go to a top club this summer. We'll see. But have I read this correctly that Vlahovic is on 315K a week? Is that is that really his wages at Juventus? That's insane, man. I thought our Sancho deal was bad. That's so bad. He had like one decent season at Fiorentina, and like, again, this is why you don't go too hard too early with these players after one good season. This is what happens. I just don't think Vlahovic is that good. The only metrics that he's above average in are touches in the box and shots. Like, that's it. Everything else is average. But again, with that, if your goal return is so poor and you're getting a lot of these touches in the box and a lot of these shots and you're still not scoring goals, that means you're not good. That just means you're not good. You can't get that many touches in the box and that many shots away and have that little goal return and expect to justify 315K a week, man. It's ridiculous. Hesty says, how many new players do you think going to make it to preseason? I think if I had to bet now, I would bet for sure 2 players in Cunha and Mbeumo, possibly a third if we expedite this striker situation. But for sure, I think 2 players go to preseason, and I think that might be it to start for sure. But I do think that we want more positions. I do think that because there's no Champions League football and we've got to get rid of some of these players, a lot of it is going to be a sell to buy, which is shit. It shouldn't be that way. But I think that's just reality of the situation that we're in. Tobias says, why Vlahovic when you continue with Rasmus? I'm starting to think you're a Liverpool fan, Tobias. He says 35K more and you get Osimhen. I don't want us to pay Osimhen that much money. You can say that he's worth it, but again, you're in a Sancho situation there, and this isn't even that's not a situation we're ever going to make money back on Osimhen. He's 26 now. You're not going to make any money back. You pay him 350K a week, and again, he either flops and you're stuck with him, or he does well and you've got to give him a raise in like 2 years, and then you're never getting rid of him. And we've all seen what happens when players get that big money at United. Sometimes they go downhill, man. It's annoying. So, but yeah, I just don't think Vlahovic is that good. I saw that little tidbit, and I know we've been linked, and I'm just like, I've never been super keen on Dusan Vlahovic of matching a strike partnership of Rasmus and Vlahovic. So, they've got another. Is it Serbia? Is that who Vlahovic plays? Is he Serbian? They've got another Biljau, I think is Jena something Biljau or something. He was playing. I thought he went to Augsburg from the Czech league, and I really liked the look of him when he was playing in the Czech league. He went to Augsburg and has not been doing really well. But if you watch them play for Serbia, they're very slow. They're not very good. Danny says striker will drag into August. Anything else will be late in the window. It all depends on how sale. Yeah, I pretty much feel the same thing. I do like that we're linked to so many strikers. Now they're linked. I'm not saying that we're actively linked, but we're linked to a lot of strikers. And I do believe we are very, very interested in Gyökeres personally. And so I do think that there will be a domino effect with strikers. There's so many strikers out there, and I do think there will be a domino effect. It's just whoever's going to do it first. So I just don't think that, we're doing one. Yeah, Danny never rated Vlahovic. It's not that he's bad. I just never thought he was as good. He got so much hype, and then it just hasn't done anything. So it is what it is, you guys. Make sure you're hitting that like button for me. Again, sorry for the earlier technical difficulties. You can blame YouTube for that one, not me, mostly because I don't know what happened. So it is what it is. Let's do a scouting report to close things out. You guys know I like to do these scouting reports. So been very, very interested in looking more at the South American market these days, and so we are doing one of these guys here. Got a new look scouting report for you guys. So say hello to Matthias Galarza. Young center midfielder, central defensive midfielder, plays for Talleres. He is 23 years old. He is very good on the ball, very good passing range, very good ball progression, and he's very, very good at duels. And what all that means is that you are very, very good at reading the game. More interceptions, the more you're good at positioning yourself, the more you can read those passes, the more you can carry the ball, put yourself in that position. That means you read the game very well. It's got a market value reportedly of around £4 million right now. Galarza. It's been compared to Riquelme. If you guys remember that. His idol is Kevin De Bruyne. So again, this is a big reason why he chose to go from Genk, from Argentinos Juniors, where he used to play. He idolizes Kevin De Bruyne, and you can see why. He gets the ball forward. He reads the game well. He's making a lot of interceptions. He's making a lot of progressive passes. He's a very, very good midfielder. Looking at some of his numbers. And again, you're going to see a little bit of a pattern here when you guys look at all these central midfielders that I'm talking about in these scout reports. Two things that are sticking out: physicality in the duels and stuff like that, and ball progression. As you can see, ball progression, shot creating actions. Look at those successful take-ons, you guys. Look at the aerial duels. He's got the physicality. He's got the ability on the ball to move it forward. Very, very good progressive numbers. I like that. I'd like to see some of the defensive numbers get a little bit higher. But again, he is above average in the interceptions. So literally 60% is 10% above average. He's just slightly below average in the tackles, which isn't, in my opinion, as bad. Maldini used to say, if you have to make a tackle, you've already failed. I don't mind it. If you can make an interception, I think that that's better than having to make a tackle, because that means you've got a better positional awareness. But those aerial duels are really cool too. I like what I see from him. He's very aggressive, very physical, very, very good on the ball. This is where he spends a lot of his time in midfield for Talleres. You can see just inside his own half and then just inside the opposition half, basically where you're going to want these pivot players to be in an amorim system. I like this guy a lot. I really do. Excellent ball progressor. Again, very aggressive. So you might need to tone that down a little bit, but he is very, very physical, but he's very, very good on the ball. Joined Talleres last summer for less than £3 million. And the problem is he did suffer a little bit of a metatarsal injury. Same thing as Lenny Euro. So he did miss a bit of football, but he's come back. He's bounced back. He's come back strong, just like Lenny Euro did. So I'm not going to be too worried about it. He is a solid midfielder with the fight of Emmanuel Ugarte, but he's got much better ball progression than Ugarte. So I really like him. At 23, though, I need to see a little bit more what he's about in terms of, like, you're 23. I want you to be a little better level than Talleres, and that's not disrespectful, but I want to see a little bit more. Boca were interested in him last summer. Barcelona were actually linked with him a few years back as well, when he was a bit younger, when he was in his late teens, early 20s. So very, very good player. I like him a lot. Danny says he progresses the ball well. Yeah. Again, I like that. Physical, all around, moves the ball. Yeah, very similar to Richard Rios as well. Good little midfielder. I like him a lot. Keep an eye out for him if you guys are doing. You guys know I do these scouting reports throughout the year. Pretty common. So I started off as a little bit of a lay scout. I had that website I showed you guys a long time ago. It's just fun. I like to do it. So Debasi says we're also linked to another midfielder. Yeah, the Argentine guy. I forgot. We've been linked to a lot of midfielders. Hopefully it's Alan Varela, because that would be excellent. But let me guys know if you like to look at Matías Galarza. I like to look at him a lot. Lucky says decent strikers list: Ekitike, Ollie Watkins, Nicholas Jackson. I'm not a fan of Nicholas Jackson personally, but Callum Hudson-Odoi, Vlahovic. Yeah, there's a ton of strikers out there, man. Danny says Christian Ordonez. Yeah, that's probably the one he was talking about. A lot of those Velas players end up going to the Italian league for some reason. Not sure why. Valentin Gomez, as you guys know, I was a big fan of Valentin Gomez, young left-sided center back. I think he's going to Bologna. There are a couple other players too, but you're going to get him, and it's good for him. Go get some football, try it on a bigger stage. But that is the news for today. Let me check and see if anything's popped up before I let you guys go. Again, thank you guys for jumping back on and finding the other streams. Sorry, I literally don't know what happened, but I'll have to make this a two-parter because the stream got cut in two because YouTube was doing a madness. Not seeing any news here, you guys. So that is going to do it. Rios is also good, but 85 million says Debasi's. Yeah, Rios is so interesting, the story. If you guys want to learn, like, have a fun little read, go check out Richard Rios' footballing journey. Like, the guy started off not in these academies and stuff. The guy was discovered playing like street footy in like some favelas. And look at him now. I mean, he's the talk of the town. We've been linked to him for a while. Like, it's pretty cool. And he says, I think £25 million would get him with add-ons. Yeah. Is Richard Rios good enough for Manchester United? Is he better than who we have? He'd probably be like a Casemiro replacement, basically. Ugarte has really got to step it up in terms of just ball progression. He did have a probably like 3 or 4 week period where he was impeccable for us. He was dropping deep, picking up the ball. He was showing excellent composure in those deep positions for a lot of press resistance, but did not play for like the last couple matches, basically, including the final, not a single minute. So I wonder a little bit about what the future holds for Ugarte at United. We'll see what happens there, but you got to think he's got to be here for at least a year unless somebody comes in. Unless there's been a major falling out, but still I worry. 20 minutes against Chelsea, no minutes in the final. Like, I worry about Ugarte, but we'll see what happens, you guys. But I appreciate you guys stopping by. Please go check out the links in the description. The main one is that charity, the organization that my wife works with, the Michigan Animal Welfare Foundation, doing a fundraiser. So I'll be mentioning it for the next few months on the channel. They're doing an event August 9th, but there is a link if you feel compelled to donate at all. You don't have to, but please share it even if yourself you don't want to do that. And then anything that we do on the channel, any super chats, any membership fees, anything like that, I'll put towards that as well. So keep that in mind, you guys. Check out the links to GoGoalShop, Fubo, Fanatics, Kitbag. It's all in the description. And then I did put the link in the chat. You can go get yourself the green and gold OG shirt representing the channel. Do like this shirt a lot, but I do appreciate you guys again for stopping by. Hopefully we won't have any more technical difficulties. Thank you, everyone. Cheers, Danny. Cheers, Nota. Cheers, everybody in the chat. Take it easy, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Friday, and I will see you guys on the next one. Later.